Darami, I say, whenever I leave the house, and on whatever thing my eyes fall on, صبر. Allah Ta'ala says, Wallahu yuhibbu sabirin. Allah Ta'ala is lief for that.
School governing body of South Coast Madrasa.
أهلا 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 يا أصحاب لقاؤنا بكم طاب مع أسرة الإصبع.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Barakah, the blessing. How do you get a blessing in your daily life, in your business, and your home? Of course, the Albaraka is the only answer. I have invited in my studio the General Manager of International Banking of Islamic Banking System of Albaraka. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Muhammad, welcome to the studio of ITV. Tell us a little bit more about the Islamic banking compared to the conventional banking.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Salman. Thank you for having me in your studio this evening. To discuss Islamic banking, there's big differences between Islamic banking and conventional banking. But in summary, Islamic banking started around the 1960s in Egypt when people looked at the system of conventional banking and said we need something different. That differences comprise 6 items generally. It's the outright prohibition of interest. It's the removal of uncertainty in transactions. It's ensuring that transactions that are entered in by the bank are asset-backed. And it's the removal of impermissible products in Islamic banking. Those 5 differences make differentiate between conventional banking and Islamic banking. And that has perpetuated itself from the 1960s through to the 80s when Islamic banking really took off in the Middle East and in Malaysia. From there, we found systems like IOFI coming across, governing the rules of Islamic banking, putting to perspective structures for Islamic banks to be formed. And Albaraka Bank in the early 80s also started as a first Islamic bank in South Africa.
Jazakallah for introduction, but since the history in South Africa of Islamic banking is not too good, how do you put the mind of the people at rest by saying, what is your market capitalization? How stable is the Albaraka is out in the marketplace?
Well, Albaraka Bank is not only a South African bank, but is a subsidiary of the Albaraka Banking Group. It's one of the largest Islamic banking subsidiaries, one of the largest Islamic banking groups in the world. It's represented in 15 countries, predominantly in the Middle East, but also we have 5 subsidiaries in Africa, in Northern Africa, including South Africa. Albaraka Banking Group has got a market capitalization of over $18 billion. It's jointly listed in the Dubai Stock Exchange and the Bahrain Stock Exchange. So Albaraka Bank South Africa is part of the Albaraka Banking Group. Locally, we hold 3.7 billion rands worth of assets. We've had tremendous profits. Alhamdulillah, the group has always been profitable. And yes, Islamic banking in South Africa was dealt a blow with the collapse of the previous banks. But banking in particular in South Africa is highly regulated. And we subscribe to all the regulations and we provide that stability through our liquidity.
Thank you. Mohammed, you mentioned 3 billion rand. What is the composite? Is it 80%, 20%, or most of the money, 100% is the fund coming from Middle East, or is local contribution in that as well?
Salman, interestingly enough, the 3.7 billion comprises about 90% South African wealth. And we're very much an international bank, but we're with a local flair. The bank started off 24 years ago in South Africa, and through that period, it has grown. And we've seen tremendous growth in the last few years. We went through a very dormant growth phase At the beginning, very small, not very aggressive. But we've seen over the last 8 to 10 years, the bank has changed its direction. We've opened up new branches. We've taken on a new corporate head office, and the growth in our assets have increased. We've seen an increase of over 15% for the year from 2011 to 2012.
Well, that's very, very good, and it sounds like the South African have the money to invest into the Albaraka. Traditionally, Mohammed, your bank has always been providing the loans. It has never been commercial, but recently you have launched the international banking along with the checkbook and a current account. Give me a little bit more detail on it.
Salman, the bank itself started off on deposits and advances. It provided a Sharia-compliant manner for those that had surplus funds and wanted to earn a return in a halal perspective. And that was the niche that we started off with, taking those funds, employing them in advances on a Sharia-compliant manner, and providing a return for our depositors. As the bank grew, we saw in 1992 a partnership being formed with Old Mutual, that time known as the Future Growth, and we moved into equity financing. We got involved in JSE listed shares, and the Old Mutual Albaraka Equity Fund was formed in 1992. From there, the bank looked at progressing into a commercial sphere. In 2008, we were granted an authorized dealer with limited authority license. That license allowed Albaraka Bank its first part into foreign exchange. And we started trading in foreign exchange notes, providing currency for people traveling overseas. In 2009, the bank entered into the electronic banking sector. And we launched a debit card, we launched internet banking, and we launched our ATMs. Since then, we've had constant demand from our clients for a checkbook. In 2010, we then commenced the process to get a checkbook launched, and we also commenced the process to complete a journey which we had started 24 years ago. When we started financing, we financed a lot of trade finance, and a lot of our trade finance is imports in South Africa. So the bank had, for 24 years, provided trade finance to its clients. And through, alhamdulillah, with the barakat of Allah, in the last 2 years, we obtained our checkbook license and we obtained our authorized dealer license. This authorized dealer license, only 24 institutions in South Africa out of the 75 banks that are represented in South Africa have the license and are able to provide international banking facilities. So it's taken us from that small bank that started off for advances and deposits, and we've now grown into a commercial bank. We've seen a journey pass through, and that journey has now completed with our commercial banking. And today we stand as the only Islamic commercial bank in South Africa, a bank that can provide you advances, deposits, international banking, as well as electronic banking and a checkbook.
Well, you on the ITV special edition of program, which is Albaraka, launch of its international banking system, as well as the commercial. We're talking to Mohammed Kaka, who's the general manager of international banking at Albaraka. Do not go away. We'll be back.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good evening everyone. As you know, Islamic banking is about moral and ethical banking and has a number of checks and balances, and Albaraka Bank complies on a Sharia basis with all its operations. The bank itself is a subsidiary of the Albaraka Banking Group, which is based in Bahrain, operating in 15 countries, 400 branches throughout the world, assets of some $18 billion, and a capital in excess of $1.5 billion. Indeed, the bank has grown from an international basis quite significantly, and 5 of those subsidiaries are in Africa. That's in Egypt, Algeria, Sudan, Tunisia, and South Africa. The South African bank has grown also significantly over the years. The current assets are standing at 3.7 billion rands, deposits of 3.3 billion, and all from a network of just 9 branches throughout the country. Once again, thank you very much for the support, especially to the implementation team, to our clients, and to the staff. And thank you for banking with Albaraka Bank, your partner bank. Thank you very much.
The granting of the license was in effect the end of a journey that started some 24 years before, when the concept of an Islamic bank in South Africa became a reality. This structure allows you, our clients, to deal directly with the officials responsible processing your transactions, and also to enjoy the benefits of quick decision-making processes, the benefits of bulk buying of currency, and of course, in improving your international banking experience.
It is with great pleasure that I stand before you tonight at the launch of our international banking and checkbook facility. Our goal as Albaraka Bank has always been one of providing a one-stop banking solution for all religious groups within South Africa. Our goal is to offer our clients efficiency, affordability, and convenience. The bank understands the demands of our clients, and Albaraka Bank prides itself in delivering superior client service. Thus, a team of relationship consultants are available to support your business and staff. We have the absolute pleasure of providing you with a one-stop banking solution, and we look forward to partnering with you and growing from strength to strength. Jazakallah. Thank you.
Welcome back. You're watching a special edition of the banking sector. Yeah, we have invited in our studio Mohammed Kaka, who is the general manager of Albaraka Bank, and we're talking about the new launch of the commercial banking. Mohammed, before we go to the break, you mentioned about the checkbook, you mentioned about the internet banking. When I do the banking, the first thing I look at the convenient and also how compatible it is for as a businessman in terms of the technology. Are you up to date with the technology onto the new launch of your commercial banking?
Salman, alhamdulillah, as part of getting into the system, it means that we haven't been part of legacy systems. So we've started off from the base as our new technology that we have. We've seen our system, our card is powered by Visa, so the card is acceptable wherever the Visa sign is acceptable. As far as our internet banking facilities go, they're very secure. We are aware of all the risks that are associated with online banking, online fraud, and therefore we've built into our systems securities, passwords, processes. We've structured our system such that it meets all the requirements of businesses. With the checkbook as well, we've got the risk of check fraud in that. And being a new bank, being a new player in the industry, we've taken into consideration all the securities that we can take, all the technology that we've taken. We also subscribe to the system of being simple and effective. We have dedicated customer services consultants that can assist you through your queries. We've got a call center that operates 24 hours a day if you have to block your card. So we've taken everything into consideration to make the system as easy as possible for people, as convenient as possible for people, taking away the need to go to banking and rather bringing banking into your home and making it easy and convenient for you.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. If an auntie is opening a small takeaway shop in Forsberg, and she needs the facility of a Swift card, credit card machine, as a Albaraka Bank will provide that facility?
We're not in clearing at the moment. We can provide her with the facility of an internet banking account. We can provide her with a current account where she can have a credit card linked to her business so she can have funds deposited to it. But as far as clearing goes, that's not the step that Albaraka is currently involved in. What we can facilitate for her is ease of convenience as far as her banking goes through.
All right, okay. And also a big question, everybody, because of the recession, the double-dip recession, everybody watching on the pennies, where we can save the pennies. I'm talking about here now, the bank charges relate to the checkbooks, especially I know there is a conventional banking system, non-Islamic banking system. The charges are quite heavy on writing a check. Compared to them, what is your charges?
Salman, Islamic banking is all about providing proper ethics in the banking structure. fees that we decide to choose for particular transactions are governed by our Sharia boards. So the bank doesn't normally unilaterally set fees. We have to do it in coordination with our Sharia boards. And because of that, we find that we are very competitive when it comes to service fees. Our fees are generally charged for transactions where the bank adds value. So you can't just charge fees on a basis. Simple fees. Banks charge ad valorem fees in terms of check deposits, cash withdrawals. Those type of fees are not found in Sharia compliant institutions, because from a Sharia perspective, you have to justify if there's an additional cost for that additional 1 rand. So where a conventional bank will charge you 10 rand, a cash deposit fee on 10 rand and a different cash deposit fee on 11 rand, Albaraka Bank will give you a tiered basis. Perhaps from 0 to 1,000 rand, the cash deposit fee will be the same. From 1,000 rand upwards, it might be a different fee, where we can justify that there's additional work being charged. And because of that structure, because of the ethics that's behind the transaction, you find that we are really competitive when it comes to service fees. So we don't only provide you good service, but we provide it for you cheaply as well.
No, it makes sense. I mean, rather do a business with a bank where I know the Sharia compliant is there. It's a peace of mind. We all make money, but as long we know that we're making not a haram money, the halal money. And also another question: a lot of people, our the viewers, they travel. I mean, especially the Mecca and Medina, going for Umrah and Hajj. If one have to take a Albaraka credit card, or you don't have a credit card, you have the debit card. Is it widely acceptable?
It's a Visa accepted card, so it's acceptable in South Africa. One of the steps that we are looking with our international banking license is to make that card now available internationally, and that's very much on the focus for 2013. But just interestingly enough, for people that travel overseas, Albaraka Bank pioneered in South Africa 0% commission on foreign exchange notes, and that is a difference again, governed by Sharia. Sharia doesn't allow you to charge a commission when you're selling currency. You have to set the price at the transactional value. And that's one of the services that we offer to our clients. So for all clients that are traveling on their international travels, they purchase foreign exchange at Albaraka Bank at 0% commission.
All right, okay. If suppose somebody want not to buy US dollar or UK pound, but they want to buy Saudi Riyal, will you be able to provide under the license from the EPSA?
We provide Saudi Riyals, we provide Indian rupees, we provide dirhams, again catering for the type of market segment that we involve. So not only the 3 majors, we don't only keep the dollars, the euros and the pounds, but you can speak to any Albaraka consultant to assist you with dirhams, with Saudi Riyals, particularly for people traveling on pilgrimage, and also then the Indian rupees, because that's a market that we satisfy as well.
Yes. And what about the bank guarantees and what you call it, travel checks? Do you also provide that?
No, travelers checks have become a bit of a past. We've seen a lot of the travelers check companies moving out of South Africa as well, and therefore it's something that we foresee as not being a strong demand. At the moment, we do provide guarantees. We are able to provide international transactions, your telegraphic transfers, your import LCs, your bills, all of that under the authorized dealer license. And as I indicated earlier, we are only one of 24 institutions that have that ability to provide for you that the foreign exchange in that under the South African regulations.
Well, it all sound too good to be true, but I mean, of course, we're talking to Albaraka, where the barakat come to your house. We're going for a short break. Please stay tuned. We'll be back.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه.
Welcome back to the special edition of the Finance World, and we have invited in our studios Muhammad Kaka, General Manager, International Banking. And of course, we're talking about the new launch of the commercial side of the banking. Muhammad, I know that you have just briefed us about your, the commercial banking system and how it's, better than the others, I would say. Tell me a little bit more of your traditional offerings. Like, you have many offerings on loan and very strong on that side. Give us a little bit more, unpack the whole products that you offer to our Muslim consumers.
Salman, Islamic financing comprises two types of financing. You have either debt instruments or you have equity instruments. And at Albaraka, we utilize both those types of transactions. So you have Islamic financing that we provide for motor vehicles, for property, for trade, all on a murabaha basis, where the bank acquires the asset, adds a profit, an agreed profit to the purchase price, and then disposes that through to the client. Obviously, through that process, the bank takes away the uncertainty, it takes away the interest because it's an asset-backed transaction, and thereby provides Sharia-compliant financing for the end consumer. So a typical consumer that wanted to purchase a motor vehicle, instead of going the route of obtaining a loan and paying interest on that loan to go and buy their vehicle, they would come to the bank, and the bank would purchase the vehicle and sell the vehicle through. The end result is that in both instances, the client would get what he wanted. He gets his vehicle. It's just in the one mannerism, the bank has taken the transaction and concluded it on a Sharia-compliant basis, whereas on the previous one, the client would be involved in himself in interest.
Good. How do you compare to the current crisis that financial world had it? And of course, the recession started in 2010 in USA, and then of course it took over all over the world. How does the Islamic banking get survive or was safeguarded during that recession time?
I think it stems from that whole ethos that underpins Islamic banking, that whole ethics investment, because of the fact that there's no uncertainty, there's no speculation in Islamic banking. You've seen that Islamic banking has, alhamdulillah, through the will of Allah, survived the global financial crisis, and that's the whole reason why. There was no uncertainty. There is no uncertainty in Islamic financing. It's all asset-backed. It's all underpinned with pure transactions. There's no speculation in that particular reason. And that's why you find that Islamic banking is robust enough to survive, and inshallah will be robust enough to survive for many years in the future.
Inshallah. I know, Mohammed, we almost at the end of the program. I know that you in charge of the international financing and the banking. I think that's a subject on its own. Maybe maybe we have to do another program completely onto the international banking and also the transaction. Give a little bit of what product that you offer. Like if a importer, exporter from Johannesburg want to do the transaction, do you provide that facility, like opening a bill of lading, TT transfers and forex and all this thing?
Salman, we've got a dedicated team, as I've indicated, 24 years worth of experience in international banking, and they're able to assist clients with booking of exchange rates, facilitating transactions, doing telegraphic transfers, establishing LCs, or even just making collections under bills. So for all clients that are looking at facilitating their import transactions, they're more than welcome to contact our international banking division. It's centralized. We have a dedicated team involved in that. And that is the big launch. That is what we're here for. And that is why Albaraka Bank is here to say we've arrived into the international banking forte, and we are here to give you the service that we've traditionally provided to our clients.
No, that's heartwarming. I mean, I know that a lot of business people are sitting, they always run to the traditional bank because they think it is time consuming, and also sometimes any other alternative bank will not understand the might of international transaction. And given the expertise that you have and also the international connection, it is becoming quite easy and feasible for our business people to go out there to any Albaraka branch and ask for the LC, and people will respond with the knowledge.
Correct. And not only will they be able to give them good service and experienced service, but because of, you've mentioned, our international linkage with Albaraka Banking Group, we've also got favorable service fees and very competitive spot exchange rates.
Good. Tell me one thing, when you talk about the spot exchange rate, a lot of our import-export people, those are busy in the import-export, they always look for the forward cover because of the fluctuation of the currency. Do you have any forward cover? I know it is a little bit for walking on the fences here. But
again, IOFI does allow for forward exchange contracts, and it is something that Albaraka Bank, again, for our 2013, it's on our target. That together with the international use of our debit card is something that we want to bring to the market. And yes, we might sit here in a few days' time or a few months' time discussing Islamic forward exchange contracts, but it is something that we are bringing to the market.
It's happening. If I'm as a businessman, I want to open an LC, but not in US or any European currency. I want to open in Islamic currency, whether it be Egyptian dollar, whether it is a Saudi riyal. Is it possible?
It is possible. Obviously, being a South African bank and being subject to the regulations, the banking regulations, there are restrictions, particularly when dealing with countries that are on the OFAC list. Sudan, Syria, Iran, those are little restrictions. But other than that, we are open for business across the globe.
Well, Jazakallah khair, Muhammad, coming to the studio, and we all do business, we all do the transaction. Why not do it Islamic way? Why not do it through the Sharia compliant? And we have a bank, we have a facility, and we have expertise. People like Muhammad Kaka in international financing, and also the network of the Albaraka is growing, and we wish them all the best, and may Allah Ta'ala make them from stronger to stronger into the marketplace. And with that, that's all the time we have. I bid you Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
أهلا 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 يا أصحاب لقاؤنا بكم طب مع أسرة الإصباح عبيرها فواح مع أسرة الإصباح عبيرها فواح أهلا أهلا يا أصحاب لقاؤنا بكم طب مع أسرة الإصباح